Hello, my name is Martin, welcome back to another video. This is bizarre. So I'm not in Manchester and it's very strange. I'm in Sheffield. When we're in Sheffield, this guy comes along as well. What are we doing?
We're doing a culvert. So what we're about to go into is a culvert on the Bagley dike.
Bagley dike?
Yeah, the Bagley dike. One of the lesser known brooks in Sheffield.
Yep, this week Sheffield, and in particular this northeastern corner of Sheffield here. Just sort of near between the hospital and the River Don. You'll see a squiggly line there. You can just about make out the River Don. That's where we are this week.
Starts all the way up somewhere near Longley Park. Comes out of an RCP, a reinforced concrete pipe.
From a spring, like? From
a spring somewhere underground.
Runs
maybe.
To where?
Yeah, River Don, yeah.
Runs to the Don.
Yeah.
When we get in here, do we go all the way to the Don?
You can follow it all the way to Don, but it gets too low at a certain point, so we will have to turn back just before the outfall. Okay, and then there's a special feature in there. Yes.
Which we won't say yet, but we're going to a deeper level, are we?
Yep, a deeper level indeed.
Right, okay. Doesn't look appetising. This is another fine mess you've got me into.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll just show you who's here. So we've got
Ozzy.
We've got Ozzy here. We've got a guest, Jezzy Boo.
Yep.
We've got Jezzy Boo here as well, and of course we've got the man himself, everyone's favourite uncle. And we're going into that, which is just not good. How long's that for?
Quite a short section, then it'll open up.
Oh, and can I stand up?
Yeah.
Right, okay. Right, crack on.
That might be a problem. I can pretty sure I can get that.
No, it's not a problem. Is this stupid? No, it gets worse before. Yeah, in my bag.
A bit of a low pipe there.
Can I put my hands in it?
If you want to.
God's sake. I don't like it, I want to go home.
It's only this bit.
We're not going to train for a while.
Right.
Okay, so Marcus has plotted the approximate route of the Bagley dike on the Sheffield map for us. As he says, it starts in Longley Park, runs down towards the hospital, and we're joining it around about just before the Upwell Street area, if you can see that. So it's the lower part of the Bagley dike before it runs into the River Don. The route has been altered many times over the years. It's been culverted. It follows quite a tortuous path nowadays in small culverts, so it's very difficult to follow all the way along, as you will see. But there you go, that's a rough plot of it. Okay, so it was very awkward to go through, very stupid. You've got a bag on your back, and it's also quite slippy underfoot as well. So it was really awkward, and I can't say I've missed culverts like this, to be honest with you. So we need a ladder, and we brought a ladder all the way from Manchester, and we've just left it at the entrance there, like a pair of Urbex. But Marcus hasn't had to carry it so far, so it can be his job to get the ladder. Okay, so we were down here for about nearly 3 hours, maybe a little bit more, getting on for 4 hours. And quite often these culverts, there's long stretches where they're fairly featureless. I'm going to cut those bits out and only show you the interesting parts. So you might find we come across feature after feature, but it's because I've cut it out, because you just don't want to watch endless footage of us walking through a culvert. So I'm trying to keep it engaging. Marcus, ladders.
Yes.
Foldable ladders, why do we need them? Well, I know why we need them.
You know why, I know why. You want to see?
So you see the floor, we've got quite a bit of orange stain in here. You see, we're not very deep, we're only about ankle deep. It's just awkward to walk in. So we've got a stone bottom, brick on top, and since the infall down there, it's been fairly featureless. So. Okay, so while I'm looking at all this, I uncovered a little bit of an interesting fact. We know that the Bagley dike runs down here from Longley Park and runs near the Northern General Hospital in Sheffield. The Northern General Hospital used to be the Sheffield Union Workhouse. It would have been a great big old rambling building, and even in Manchester some of those big old buildings got converted into hospitals. Bit of an ongoing fracas, sounds like, with the council, so I'm going to read you this, and you can pause and read most of it if you want to. Sheffield Workhouse sewage difficulty. Marsh versus the Guardians of the Poor of Sheffield Union. So it goes on to say the Sheffield, they're in court, the Sheffield Guardians, for non-compliance with an order of court made 2 years ago, restraining them from polluting the Bagley dike by allowing to drain into it the sewage from the workhouse. Yuck. So this was ongoing from 2 years ago. They've still not complied with the order. I'm just trying to find out. There's an interesting bit further down. The evidence of Mr. Bell, the analytical chemist, showed the pollution in 4 different places, and that at one place it was much worse than July last year. So the workhouse were guilty of very conveniently allowing all the sewage to just run into the Bagley dike. This was common practice. I'm guessing this was mid to late 1800s. This would have been common practice. These small watercourses would have been utterly filthy. But they've been taken to court for it. Right, so this is the next bit. It's, how far, Marcus?
About 10 metres.
And at this point, Marcus and Roy have a heated debate because Marcus says the stupid bit's about 10 metres and Roy disagrees with him and is looking ahead and saying, no way, that's longer than that. Stooping is awful. Right, so you can probably maybe hear banging. The banging is a manhole above, cars going over a manhole above. It's horrendous, this. Don't help Marcus, he's getting really ratty.
I'll take that. You alright getting wet? I'm going to buy a parking tape because of the
So, look at the state of this. How far is this?
60 metres crawl.
Don't worry, don't listen to him.
Marcus,
it's
how
about
far?
15 metres, but it feels longer because of how stupid he is.
Yes, it's 15 metres.
Just about.
Right, okay. So I'm going to crawl this, so I can't film it, I'll just see it at the other end.
You're making good progress, sir.
I'm making better progress than walking.
Are you sure about that? It's a bit sketchy here.
Yeah.
Marcus, behind us is a concrete slit.
Yes.
So Marcus called this at the beginning scoop, soup. So you've seen the stoop, horrendous.
And the soup as well.
And we're in the soup. We're in basically curry soup.
Yeah.
So behind us this is the scoop.
Yes.
So what's going on here?
So basically what this is here is an overflow system for the culvert into the Don Valley sewer. Now the Don Valley sewer itself is, should I get into that?
Yeah, go on.
The Don Valley sewer was started building in the 1970s and they finished it in the early 2000s. So the Don Valley sewer is similar to what they're doing in London with Tideway Tunnel. Just to divert a load of sewer overflows to go instead of into the River Don, it goes into this sewer instead.
Right, so this is a rare time where a brook can overflow to a sewer.
It's a one of a kind, really. I don't really know any other sort of systems that are like this, so it'll be really interesting to see.
As Marcus says, rare situation where a brook can overflow into a sewer. So we're going to go underneath there. And we're going to see what we're looking at. So another dreaded penstock. We've been here before, haven't we? So this penstock will take us into a short concrete tunnel that will take us to a drop shaft that leads down, as Marcus says, to the Don Valley intercepting sewer. A huge sewer deep underground. So construction of the Don Valley intercepting sewer phase 1 began in 1979, and it's 16 kilometres of deep level tunnel sewer ranging from 1.5 metres in diameter to 5.2 metres in diameter. The scheme was intended to improve the storm sewage system for the Sheffield district and to reduce flooding. They've put it in the underlying carboniferous strata at a depth of about 20 metres. And it tells you there that they used a tunnelling machine. That graphic there sort of shows how it works. What happened was the old sewer system was designed at times of flood, and when the sewer system was overwhelmed, it was designed to overflow into rivers and brooks. As you can see here, what they've done now is they've chopped into the old sewers and they've provided another relief valve, which is that new transfer pipe or tunnel, which leads to a drop shaft that then drops, so the overflow can drop down the drop pipe into the main intercepting sewer, which is at a deep level. That mainline sewer there runs, like we've said, for 16 kilometres underneath Sheffield. When it gets down to the Don Valley Works, I think, which is the big sewage works, all the sewage is then pumped back up to be treated. Now, it's only the stuff that's gone down into the overflow pipe. I think there's still genuine original sewers that take it at a higher level to the sewage works. But that's what happens. It gets pumped back up, can you believe? When it was completed, all the local council dignitaries were invited down into the sewer, but before it became a sewer, so it was just a concrete pipe, and they had a little buffet and a bit of a party down there. Now I've got some more photos to show you in a bit of construction, but let's crack on with this the gymnastics that will take us down into this Don Valley intercepting sewer. Its nickname is Gigatron, so you might hear me referring to it as Gigatron.
Yeah. I think they did that remarkably well for saying usually a bit of shit like no problem. Right. Yeah. Come. Bit slippy in there. So as usual at the end here we've got like a landing stage, if you like.
So this is the drop shaft with 2 landings on it and quite a long ladder that will take us down to 72 feet below ground. Now you have to be careful in sewers. We don't go in sewers when you think about it. We go in culverts, freshwater brooks and rivers. We go in culverts. You have to be aware of gases in a sewer. Methane, hydrogen sulfide and low oxygen levels, and you have to be aware of that. Ventilation in here felt quite good, and I'm going to show you in a bit why it was good.
How deep is it?
This shaft's about 22 metres deep.
Right, okay, go down.
Right. See how deep it is?
Yeah. Yeah. Over here like this. Can you show signs of it? Yeah, come down. Still a long way down. Marcus, how long is it?
So the Don Valley sewer runs for about 16 kilometres. That's just the main line. Altogether there's so many different lines and branches and different stuff. So we really don't know how long it is, but it runs for approximately 16 kilometres.
Why we're wearing masks, I have to address this because somebody will say something about it. Not to protect us from gas, it's because when we get further down there's little droplets and a mist in the air. We simply don't want to breathe in that mist.
You'll probably never get pictures a lot better than that. Well, shooting pictures I'll show you. Okay, just be careful because they're really clean crap. Yeah. Really smart. Just be careful here.
Okay, so another ladder down to another landing. Now this drop shaft that we're in can actually fill with water, either from the the Bagley dike up above or from the main trunk sewer down below. That can actually come up and overflow into the connecting pipes. You'll notice that the ladder gets increasingly worse, and you can see that it's sort of semi-sewer contamination. We were fine. Nobody had any ill effects, but we had to be careful on it now because it was quite slippy.
The worst thing is when Brad was trying to watch your hands or slip off the... I always put the bottom in the middle, just to say. Right.
Okay, so where are we in Sheffield? Well, this is a traffic island, and we're underneath this traffic island. You'll notice the island is almost a heart shape, and to the left and the top left of that heart shape is a circle with a structure in the middle of it. That is on top of this shaft. And that structure, if we go and take a closer look, is actually a ventilator. Looks like a bit of a sculpture, but it's actually a ventilating chimney, if you like. Another closer look at it here, and you see it's got grills in it, and it ventilates the sewer. And as we were going down this shaft, there was a draw of air coming in, of fresher air coming in. Now, that doesn't make it okay. It's still not a good place to be, but this is why there was no smell at all. There was no bad smells at all. So it's because of this ventilation chimney on top, and these apparently are dotted throughout Sheffield above the Don Valley interceptor sewer. Okay, so the final drop, and by now the ladder is utterly filthy, but you see down there that we're at the bottom of the drop shaft now. I'm going to cut the ladder bit out, so when we get to the bottom here now, we've got a connecting concrete pipe that will lead us to the trunk sewer, and it's about a 100-metre walk. So it was a brief look. It was great to see a piece of engineering like that. Very, very interesting. Nobody suffered any ill effects when we got out safely. There was not going to be any rainfall that day at all, and nothing unexpected. And the penstock wasn't going to close. It's not easily or readily something that closes all the time.
Right, so we're going down there. Looks like it gets even more bloody stupid down there. You see various sections here, so you've got brick, and then obviously cobble bottom. That was the Tuxton doing back in the day.
Cast iron bridge as well.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, cast iron bridgehead. You can hear the cars going over manholes, can't you, behind us?
Yeah.
And then, how far down there is it?
Is what?
So we can stand up.
Not far, not far.
Yeah, what do you find not far?
100 metres. There's a bit of a waterfall, a little one. Then there's a brick pipe, and then it opens up and you can walk through. So this should be the last.
Have we got to come back this way?
Yes.
Do it.
Alright.
Yeah. Right, so it's slightly deeper here now, and you can also stand up, but it's very rocky and difficult to negotiate. Is this a waterfall?
Yeah.
Wow.
Drop your glove.
Here, hang on. I will have it. I've got my glove.
You need it for getting out of it.
I know. There you go. Bit of a waterfall there. And something flowing in. Look at that brickwork there, that's nice, isn't it?
I know what this is.
So this here is called the Duke of Norfolk's culvert. Now, not much is known about it. Looking up online, there's nothing really about it, but from what I can tell, there were a lot of mills around this area and this would have served it. What it serves now is a sewer overflow. So, yeah, how times have changed.
Very nice.
So the Duke of Norfolk's culvert, quite fascinating, and something very much linked to old industry in Sheffield, although it doesn't serve that purpose anymore. Here's a map that Marcus has plotted for us. You can see the culvert there in red, see the Bagley dike on the thin blue line, and the arrow points roughly where we are and where the Duke of Norfolk's culvert enters into the Bagley dike. It will run on down the Bagley dike and into the River Don. We've tried to get some information on it, and Marcus uncovered this information. The Duke of Norfolk used to own pretty much all of the land the steelworks were on. Big steelworks round in Sheffield. They had a pump house on the north bank of the Don between Leveson Street and the railway, and the pump supplied water to the area between Savile Street and Carlisle Street East. The Duke of Norfolk's culvert took the excess away, and it runs on the north side of the railway, and it goes on to say Newhall Road to Upwell Street, which is roughly where we are now, near Upwell Street, where it goes into the Bagley dike, and there is a door in the retaining wall at Upwell Street that accesses it. The Duke of Norfolk's culvert now serves as a sewer overflow for a newer sewer, which is why it's not connected to the Don Valley intercepting sewer, or Gigatron, as you know. So that door in the retaining wall, there it is. So that is access to the Bagley dike and the Duke of Norfolk's culvert. Fascinating, because you'd walk past that and wouldn't know, would you? Okay, so I did try and look into this idea of the Duke of Norfolk's culvert, and I tried to find it on an old map, and I couldn't really find anything. I'll try and shed a little bit of light on it for you. So it mentions Leveson Street, and a pump being on the north side of the Don. This is the River Don. Taking time back now, this map is the 1880s, 1890s. We've got the weir there. Notice it's called Norfolk Bridge. We've also got Norfolk Bridge Works here, so plenty of references to the Duke of Norfolk. We've got a mill race here that comes off behind the weir and runs up this way to supply this works here with water. So whether they were pumping water from here, and it mentions that the pump was to feed industry in this area up here. We are currently over in this area, and then the Don's there. So the Duke of Norfolk's culvert, possibly once it had fed this industry, probably ran up this way and then back into the Bagley dike, which is going to enter the Don here. So I couldn't really find it on a map. I would have loved to have found the course of the Duke of Norfolk's culvert on a map, but all I could find was Leveson Street and the weir, and references to Norfolk around this area. And on the very old map here, if you look here, we've got Norfolk Terrace as well. I doubt the Duke of Norfolk ever dirtied his hands on any of this or saw any of it, but he just owned the land, but he would have had probably nothing to do with it. But this is the start of the industry, and they were using water and building weirs, and we just can't plot the Duke of Norfolk's culvert. Okay, so the journey continues. I've sped this bit up, and we've got a nice feature coming up.
So I've got a feature.
So the reason why we're so deep in this section is because we're actually in the wall of the viaduct on Upwell Street. The railway line is running to the right of me now. So that's why we're so deep in this section. That's why it's a different section, it's blue brick. So when they built the railway line, they put this section in.
So back to a bit of stone now on the base. So you can see that probably a culvert ended there, but then it's been extended with brick in later years. Marcus, what are we looking at here?
So here we might be looking at possibly an old watercourse, maybe an old sewer overflow, or maybe some sort of surface water drainage. But it's hard to tell with these things. They're not really marked on maps, but there's quite a few of these that feed into in this section.
So there you go, your classic, like Ozzy says, your classic Bazalgette brick, self-cleaning brick. Although I don't think anything's ran along there for a while, has it?
No. So the reason why they put this split in is because they didn't think that this culvert here following along would be big enough to take on sort of rainwater or flood water. So they put in this extra section here just to make sure that it can take all the water it can.
Right. Well, not much has gone down there, has it?
No. No. No.
Have a quick look. So this is the later bit. Obviously you can see they've got brick there, and then you've got this here now. Not much has gone down there, has it? So maybe unnecessary work, eh? What have we got, Marcus?
So it looks like there's been a bit of a collapse.
So this wasn't like this, was it not?
No, so if you look inside, so it looks like there must have been a bit of a collapse in the culvert, and what they've tried to do is fill it in as best as possible to stop any more of it collapsing. But it didn't look like this last time I saw it.
Culvert or sewer overflow?
Hard to tell really.
Yeah, it's difficult
most
to
likely
know.
it's old sewer overflow, which isn't in operation anymore. So.
Right, so you remember I mentioned the split earlier on. Well, this is where it rejoins. Although, like I say, that split, there's not a great deal to it.
Just cuts into it here, haven't we?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so we've got a split, which will be interesting to see.
Split here, very old split. Let's try and get some light on that. And if you go just where that water's flowing there, the stench is awful. And what I mean by stench is very, I can only describe it as like tar and diesel and stuff. But if we went down here to this bit, because we're disturbing old gases, the noise meter went off. You can see something coming in from there. Actually, it stinks. This stinks really bad now. And you can see how it flows underneath there. So we're not going further forward now, because we're thinking there's some old mud harbouring gases, and eventually, like Marcus says, this goes to the River Don. But very dangerous that bit. It really takes your breath away, that, doesn't it? Was it oxygen that went off?
Yeah, it went to below 90%, 80 something.
Right.
So you might be wondering, why are we turning back at this split where it turns into nice brick arch? First of all, air quality. Now, when we were in this section taking pictures, it smelt very much like tar and diesel. There was a plastic pipe that was sticking out of the wall on the left arch, and it absolutely reeked of tar and like diesel. It was disgusting. When Roy went down that same section where the pipe was coming in, he went down so far, and not even that many steps down it, his gas meter started going off because he'd messed about with the stagnant water, and there's a lot of stilt. It's very stilt standing, so you get a lot of silt. So there was no way we were going down any further, and the not just the air quality, but the amount of oxygen that was in this section, it's really not well ventilated whatsoever. Secondly, the stoopiness. Now, it might not look that low down if you've seen it in the video, but the further you get, the more snug it gets. Now, snug as in, it doesn't just get lower down, but the arch starts to get closer in. So I followed down as far as I could one time. Should be a picture on screen now where I turn back. Now that there, the size of it is probably about, maybe that, by about that, just about. So I were like this, trying to squeeze my way through. Really don't want to do that. and Martin especially didn't want to do that, so this is why we were turning back at this section. This is another example of this culvert being tampered with, just messing about with it. They wanted to put a public sewer on Brightside Lane. Now, Brightside Lane is where the Bagley dike, just near where it outfalls into the Don. And they wanted to put a sewer in. The only problem is, where they wanted to put the sewer in, there was also the culvert. So what they did is they put in this section, like a chamber, and they shoved this cast iron pipe directly into the culvert, going perpendicular to the flow of the water, well, the flow of the culvert. So this way, they made it a chamber that gets deep enough so it can go underneath the sewer and over it at the same time. Now, if you get sucked under that cast iron pipe, you are dead. That is not an over-exaggeration. And having look on public data, open data on the Sheffield City Council website, there's a node or a marker on it that says Bagley Dyke siphon, extreme care required. Having spoke to someone as well who works for the council, they say the only times they ever go in there, because sometimes they have to clean it quite a lot because a lot of debris gets stuck underneath the pipe, the only times that they ever bring anyone in there is on a winch, and that's very rare. So we definitely didn't want to go any further than this.
And if we did get to the end, the final outfall where it meets the River Don, you'll see it comes out of a small round concrete pipe with a metal gate on it. So that looks quite small. It then goes into a concrete channel, as you can see here. And if we turn around and look the other way, you'll see it finally meets the River Don. And we have to thank Tarkovsky for these pictures, these photographs that he took. He was the original explorer that went down into the Bagley Dyke, followed it all the way through, charted it, wrote about it, and named it Soup, Stoop, Scoop. So there you go. Thank you, Tarkovsky, for those pictures.
Right, so we're heading out.
Yes.
It's a long journey.
Well, to be fair, it's not even that long. The culvert itself, in total, is about 1 kilometre, and that weighs probably the last 200 metres, so it's more the stoop that makes it feel so long, such an arduous journey. I mean, we've been down here how many hours now?
God knows.
3 hours.
So we finally got out back into sunny Sheffield. I'd like to thank Marcus, Roy, Jezeboo and Ozzy for coming along and helping. I did record a nice outro for you, but unfortunately the camera was set into slow motion mode. So there you go. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.